You are now listening to the Going North podcast with your host, author and speaker, Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author share their stories, expertise, and their struggles that they had to overcome in life to leave you inspired to get more out of your life. Be sure to not only listen to this episode, but share with others, connect with the authors, and always advance others to advance yourself. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, where we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today is no different. But it's a little different though, because instead of sugar, spice, and everything nice, we have an inspirational speaker, award-winning music artist, and transformational life coach that loves sharing her uplifting message around the world with a truly unique blend of music and a variety of inspirational content. And that's just the sum of what she does, because this fabulous human right here, she's the first ever on this podcast that's a teen sensation. And into her 20s, this lady right here, she graced the covers of many magazines and other publications. And not only that, she landed major endorsement deals with the likes of Levi's, and she had her own doll made in her likeness. Go figure. And not only having a collected treasures item made after, she's had many devoted fans around the world at the height of her fame and in her career. And then apparently in 1992, she stepped out the limelight behind a European celebrity and moved to New York City to start a whole new life. And then we just go down the rabbit hole to where now she has founded a children's theater in Cincinnati, Ohio. And not only that, launched a full-time musical called My Perfectly Beautiful Life, and produced and hosted the TV show called Waking Up in America, with about 100 episodes being produced and aired. So this woman right here is not just a six-pack of talent, she's an eight-pack ab of talent, because she has multiple books and a fabulous voice that you should check out after listening to this fabulous interview with the one and only TTC herself, Miss Tatiana Tajci Cameron. How are you today, ma'am?
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, thank you. It's great to be connected with the fabulous human.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to be a part of your podcast. I really enjoy the guests you're having on it. And I enjoy listening to everybody. It seems like, you're focusing on what I've been trying to do all of my life, just to inject a little bit of, or a lot of positivity into our world.
Oh, yeah. And without any needles, too.
Yes. More like buckets, just splash them over. Yes.
Like the classic Gatorade on the coach at the end of a winning team game.
Right, exactly. Good, yes.
Oh, yeah. Funny enough, I guess that little analogy is perfect for what you do on top of everything else of coaching fabulous humans. So with that introduction, is there anything I missed that you'd like to add in?
Well, Dom, I'm a mother of three amazing human beings. They're teenagers now, and teenage sons, and I think that's like, that's a big part of my life, and part of what I do, and part of my education and inspiration and motivation. Really, these young men teach me every day lessons that I would have never learned otherwise, and really give me a perspective on what are we here to do, and why do all of us have these crazy careers? Why do we work 18 hours a day and are passionate about, writing books or everything that you said. I founded children's theater in Cincinnati because I wanted a place for my kids to be creative and to explore creativity and an expression that's maybe not provided to them at schools. And then now we live in Nashville, Tennessee, where they have a lot of opportunities. And then they teach me here the challenge of living in the world today as a young human. They also teach me so much about, well, how do we realize for kids who do have opportunities that there are as many who don't have any. So they motivated me to go, and I'm on the board of directors for Nashville Peacemakers, an organization that does programs for youth that's affected by gang violence or at risk at gang recruitment and addictions, and also sex trafficking. So I think that's a part that I would love to bring into this. And also a part that I want to focus on as well is that I am primarily a music artist. So all of this other things that I do, books and TV show, and it's all kind of focused around music, because I believe music, as all art, is a great connecting point that connects us, whether we're from, I'm originally from Croatia. And music and art is something that connects us all, whether we're from different parts of the planet or different religious backgrounds or beliefs or genders, races. It all just, kind of falls apart when we come together around music or art piece. And I, that was a big thing why I became a teen superstar, a teen sensation, as you said. It was that connection. I was 19 years old and I sang at this really prestigious song competition in Europe. That's Eurovision Song Contest. I don't know if your listeners would maybe know about it. It's huge in Europe. It has a viewership of 1 billion people, estimated, of course, but nonetheless, it's broadcast now in Australia and all over the world. Of course, with streaming now, it's easier. And when I was the last singer that represented Yugoslavia as a whole before the breakdown of Yugoslavia in the 90s, 92. We didn't know that then, that I was going to be the last one. But when I sang my little silly pop song, which is a really fun, upbeat song, but it wasn't, it was bubblegum pop, nothing very deep. The chorus goes, "Let's go crazy, your lips are like chocolate, and I like that." It's fun, but it's not really a message. But I literally, when I was performing, I literally felt something bigger than me flowing through me as my only, I wasn't there to win, I wasn't there to compete. I was there to fulfill the intention that I had as a very young child. I was 4 years old when I decided I wanted to tell stories through music and move people's hearts. It kind of like make the world a better place, So I felt that intention, or some, I call it energies, love, intention, just felt going through me. And almost like the song was just a vehicle for this bigger thing that connected us. And if you ask people that have loved that song and for now so many years, because that song is one of the favorites that are still played in my country and all the surrounding countries and some countries in Europe. We're all connected to that moment in our lives that song triggered some optimism, hope, love, feeling of connectedness, and we're not alone. So that's pretty much the focus of what I do, using music as a point of connection through which then we can all experience turning points and look at ourselves and look at our pain or hurt or whatever our obstacles to living a life of happiness and purpose and peace that we all desire. That's where my coaching comes in.
Fabulous indeed. Fabulous indeed. Yes, indeed, because I did a little quote unquote cyber stalking on you, and it's amazing that you started singing professionally at 4 years old. And it seems like your whole lineage, it's like learned that your dad was also a singer and a guitarist. So, have any of your teenage sons picked up any music so far?
Oh yeah, the two younger ones, they're a percussionist in the school band, and the youngest is a singer as well. The middle child, his name is Evan Amadeus. He's composing in his spare time and playing all kinds of instruments. And then my oldest is actually in animation and virtual reality. He also grew up singing, but now he's more on a storytelling and visual arts side.
Sweet. So, is there going to be like a music cartoon in the future?
I hope so. I hope so. We have this. We joke that someday my son will make an animated movie, and my youngest will do the voices. My middle child will do the soundtrack, and I will be in the audience proudly saying, "Okay, now where's my 10%?"
Hey, that's
Yeah.
hey, that's nice. You only asked for 10%. Okay.
Hey, I invested quite a bit into these young people's lives. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's wonderful. But, I really respect these people, my sons, as, and often I wake up in the morning and I just feel so grateful that I get to be their mother. I feel like, wow, these are such amazing humans. How did I get to be so honored to be a guide on their journeys? It's really beautiful.
That's right, because moms are tough indeed, especially with three teenage boys. And since you're a busy mom who's always on the go, any advice for some of the listeners who are also moms that are busy to basically to keep your sanity? Any self-care tips that you recommend for them to add to their lives?
Yeah, oh my gosh, I was so bad at that for so many years that I actually, there was a point where I struggled with depression and anxiety and panic attacks, and it was partially because of, yes, you get busy with kids and career, and you don't take care of yourself, and not just physically, but also emotionally and spiritually and mentally. And of course, for many years when my kids were little, I would just refuse because I was so attached to them, and I wanted to completely be present to them, especially because I was also a working mom. There was just there's not enough time in the day. But I see now in hindsight that it's not worth it. An hour a day, 15 minutes a day of intentional taking care of you is going to be hugely beneficial. So, even though you might feel guilty for taking that time for self-care, you gotta get yourself a therapist and work through the guilt if you have to. That's really my tip, my advice, looking back, because I was very into attachment parenting, which I think worked out for me. I think my sons are very independent, and because I was present and available to them, and I was lucky that my job was such, I have a music career, we were able to travel as a family. So I wasn't really away from them, but I still was busy. I mean, it was too much for me. And so I was always run down. So yeah, I mean, what I've done after I, got out of that depression, anxiety, panic attack period, and I healed through a lot of therapy, I take self-care very seriously. And so I need a lot of quiet time. I also like to cook. So cooking is intentionally part of my self-care because I make healthy meals. And then while I'm doing it, I'm not just rushing through it. That's why I keep saying intentional. You can do a lot, but if you're intentional about it and knowing that, okay, I'm cooking because I'm making a nutritional meal for myself and my children. And then I put a nice music on, and I have a little cheese while I cook, make sure that I hydrate. If I have a glass of wine, I drink extra water, just intentionally taking care of yourself.
Ah, me likey indeed. Me likey indeed.
Good. Good, yeah.
Yes, indeed. And I love what you said there about being intentional about it, how the cooking process, you take your time with it and being intentional, because that's something that may really be lacking nowadays is, well, maybe not the intentionality piece, but maybe having the right intentions.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to mindfulness and intention. If you're mindful about, and because mindfulness really brings you into the present moment. So you are really, and that's what intentional living to me also means, is intentionally being in the present moment. So when you are, no matter how busy you are, whatever you're doing, you're not thinking this, the next step and the fifth step, because those should be already planned. So you don't have to worry about hitting, getting there. So you can be intentional about the moment and present in the moment, and then mindful about, hey, am I running around like a chicken without a head, or am I, even in these 5 minutes that I can spend with my children, or 5 minutes that I can just go into the bathroom and breathe and wash my face with cold water, or apply a nice cream on my face. It's, even those tiny moments are going to be that much more quality for you. Because really, I mean, we're busy. Life is busy. I lost my husband 2.5 years ago, and now I'm a single mom, and sometimes I just cannot physically, be in all the places that I need to be, and do all the tasks. But and so it's very easy to get completely stressed out and then not accomplish anything. So that's where I just have to. I'm big on taking a breath, and again, mindfully bringing myself into the present moment, and then being intentional. Okay, for the next half an hour, I'm going to go through the bills. And then I just do that. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Oh, yeah, answer the questions indeed. Yes, indeed, because you've been through a lot, and sorry for your loss as well. It
Thank
can
you.
be hard as the times go by, because I got lost my father in the same year as your husband. So
Yeah.
we're both in the grief boat.
Yeah. 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 And, again, grief is, I find that when my dad passed away 11 years ago, well, now actually more, 13 years ago, I was, I just didn't take it well. And I allowed that grief to take me down that, path where my depression, anxiety was just horrible. It took me forever to get away from, um, I guess for me it was, I felt if I move on away from grief, that would mean that I loved my father less. Um, and so when my husband got diagnosed with cancer, he passed very, very fast, 9 months. We kind of together we made a decision to do it differently. And he helped tremendously. He wasn't afraid, and he left us with, kind of like commissioned us to, um, to find to really find joy, and to keep living, as honoring him. So to be able to move, to honor the grief, but also be able to willing to let go of it is what helped me.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. And that's kind of the beautiful part about it, is that even though it sucks in a moment, it'll suck from day to day, is the fact that you can still at least honor them, even though they're no longer in this form. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, indeed. And the fact that you're still moving and shaking and creating new victories for you and your other loved ones is a testament to the iron will that you have to succeed and make a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, for me, it's almost, well, what is the other choice? To just stop, and, nothing in nature ever stops. So I just felt that it's healing when we keep going. It's healing. Like, again, it's important to honor each moment as it comes, and know, about going back to mindfulness and intention, to know, okay, this is grief, because grief shows up, daily in different forms, but so does joy, so do these beautiful memories of people that are no longer with us, through which they almost show up like little, miracles, like little reminders. Oh, like the other day, 2 weeks ago, I was at this gathering of what was just a beautiful women's retreat or gathering, and I was doing music for them, and there was another singer that I was introduced to. Someone, maybe some of the listeners will know of her. She had several hit songs in the 80s and 90s. Her name is Sylvia, and the host, I didn't know her because I didn't grow up here at that time, and the host of the party said, well, Sylvia's here. I think you two need to meet. And so I went to Sylvia. It turned out that she was born and grew up in the same little town in Indiana as my husband did, which is, that little town in Indiana doesn't have that many people. And it's, what are the odds? And then she gave me a CD, and I was listening to it on my way home. And she had this song called Tumbleweed. And my husband's nickname was Tumbleweed. So moments like that are those unexpected little divine things, whatever, gifts that kind of like put a smile on your face and a little flutter in your heart, and you go like, oh, they're here, it's all a big flow of life that just changes, doesn't disappear.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Always got to love moments like those where it's kind of a coincidence, but kind of not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I'm on tour with another show it's called Waking Up in America, and I perform with my sister and another musician, Brian Hansen, and in a few months, a country artist, David Langley, is going to join us. And it's just a wonderful music show that's also very uplifting and inspirational, in which we sing all the songs that we grew up with, that are songs like Country Roads and Cabaret and Crazy, and all these American songs from American Songbook. And the point is that, again, that's music connects us, doesn't matter where we are in the world. They impact our lives in a positive ways.
Oh, yes, a positive way indeed. So, since this isn't your first interview and it's definitely not your first rodeo, just had to
Right.
get that bad one in there. Is there a question that you wish more podcast, radio / interviews would ask you that they don't ask you enough or haven't asked you yet?
Well, there's a lot of a lot of questions that people have not asked. But we already talked a lot about the grief. That's not something that people usually like to talk about. But here is something. I was watching the movie Judy the other day, about Judy Garland, and uh, and then there's another documentary about another big star that just came out, that talks about the loneliness up on top, that talks about the pressure, that for some reason it's mostly artists that speak about it. But I believe that this also happens to any high performer, CEOs and successful people, even success as, I'm happily married, I have a beautiful house, I have, life is, I don't, I'm comfortable. There is an element of loneliness and sense of, how should I say that? The question of what's the purpose, that I don't think is discussed enough. Especially in this time of Instagram filters and everybody's social media look like, perfect. Everything's perfect. And, everybody sells programs on how can you achieve this perfect life or this big success. So my question is, what is the definition of success and who determines it? And are we really being honest enough to talk about it in a way that is not just one-sided? Are we really talking about it in a way that doesn't put pressure on all of us to achieve this one version of success? So I think that's a very interesting topic to talk about and explore. What do you think about that?
Hey, I agree with it. Funny enough, that's one of the things I noted here is when you mentioned in one of your past interviews that being a famous superstar wasn't success for you at one point.
Exactly.
And you're definitely right. It's like the age of Instagram filters where everybody's putting this pressure on themselves to be perfect. And folks haven't got it in their head yet. Like, hey, this is a curated feed here of what people want you to see. Like they could have rented cars or rented homes in these pictures, or they could just Google image something and just try to act like it's their own when it's really not, and they're just using credit or they're just basically putting themselves in debt just to look like quote unquote success when truth be told, they're just suffering. Heck, even a lot of folks who may have tangibles that may define success for some people may be the very things giving people that sense of pain that they need to get rid
Exactly.
of.
Yes. 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 So how does that, how guilty are we all of that? How do we contribute to that or help bring the other perspective, the other side of the other definitions of success into the world? How do we show up? I grew up in a country that was communist, and and so I didn't have a sense of very wealthy and very poor. We were all kind of poor the same way. But on the other hand, we didn't have homeless. Everybody was taken care of. We took care of each other because none of us could have so much for ourselves that we kind of felt it was our unspoken responsibility to create a community where we're all just going to help each other, um, and I also so when I moved to America, I came here for the opportunity, not so much the opportunity to have a great career, because I had that in Croatia. I had an amazing career. But I came to America for the opportunity to be what I call brave and free. This is the home of the land of the free and home of the brave. So I wanted to be free and brave to build a life that would be my own version of success. Because in Croatia, even though I was a superstar and I had a doll in my likeness, that doll was what everybody wanted to see, not the real me, not my tears, not my loneliness. If I ever try to hint that, people didn't want that. My managers wouldn't allow it either. So I realized I was creating this unhealthy role model that I didn't want. So I came here to kind of be free and courageous to redefine success. And I like to think that we are, I mean, I see that in people that I hang out with, we are talking more about pain and grief and mental illness and loneliness and depression. And, I think we can do better though.
Oh, yeah, we can do better indeed. Definitely better and not butter. Yes, indeed. And I love what you said there about making healthy role models. Like,
Mm.
so any advice for, or at least, what are your thoughts on folks who want to become a healthy role model? What qualities you think they should seek to have?
Giving more than receiving. I always tell my kids, you can dream up any dream and it will come true. You can accomplish it, you can achieve it, for as long as it serves not only you, but it serves other people around you. It serves not only your own selfish goal. If it's, hey, I want to have I don't know, some fancy car and a mansion, you have to know why and how is that going to benefit other people around you. That's really what I think, because otherwise you're going to chase your dreams and you're going to get there and you're going to say, well, you know what, this is not really it, and then you're going to go after something else. So I in my TV show Waking Up in America, I interviewed this wonderful gentleman um, who was a serial entrepreneur, and he decided he worked with Vincent Peale, the father of positive thinking, and he decided that he was going to be a millionaire by the time he turns 35. And in my interview, I said, well, how did that go? And he says, great. I hit my mark when I was 34. And he said, but you know what? I was just as miserable after that $1 million as I was the day before. It wasn't about that. And then he spent the rest of his life trying to figure out, okay, what is it? And what are the goals that we set that are worthwhile chasing? And so going back to role models, how does what we do affect others? How does it benefit others? How are we giving more than receiving? How are we bringing healing? I think healing is huge, and I'm, whether it's physical healing or are we putting more stress into the world or creating a world that's gentler on people? So that's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual healing. Are we bringing into life more hatred or greed or compassion and love? That's really, so when I was a pop star, I was a young girl, 19 years old, and I actually, as a teenager, I had experienced sexual abuse that kind of put me in a situation where I couldn't really stand up for myself when it came to assertive men. And so when I was as a pop star, especially when this doll came out, I realized this is what I am. Other people play with dolls' hands and legs. Other people decide what she's going to have on. Other people who decides how her hair is going to be like. Whoever doll is, whose ever hands the doll is in, they do all the moves. She just stays silent and smiles. Right? And so here I was doing a concert for about 80,000 people, screaming fans. They're all reaching out to me, screaming my name, singing my songs. And I look and I see thousands of girls, little girls, teenage girls who who write me letters saying how much they want to be like me. And I look and I say, and I think, and I see this vision. What am I? They want to be like me. They want to be a doll that anybody can tell what to do, and she just stays silent and smiles and nods her head and let other people play with her. No, I'm not going to do that. And so, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be that role model. I didn't want to tell them that that's okay. And so on my part, that meant, yes, that meant I had to leave my career. I had to figure out how to heal, how to fix the broken parts in me. What I didn't even know what the broken parts in me were then. But I knew that only if I took that journey that I had a possibility of learning that. And then stepping back into, if the opportunity comes, when the opportunity comes to be a role model, even if I'm no longer role model to 80,000 people, but 5, I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because 5 is enough for one hand.
Exactly. Yes. And if 5 is a positive role model, as opposed to 80, that you are sending a message that somebody else wants you to send. You're basically selling someone else's product, someone else's vision. You're not being true to the truth. And that doesn't just happen. It's not just for pop stars. That's for all of us. What are we modeling to our friends, our children, our neighbors? Even when we buy messages or products that we don't believe in, but we do it. Why? You know what I mean? We put you know what I mean? We just put in more of somebody else's message in the world that we might know it's not what we believe in, but we do it because it's safer.
Yeah, kind of like with all the noise going around, and heck, you've mentioned it yourself, where it's like you didn't even know the parts of yourself that needed fixing. It's like
Exactly.
yeah, just giving yourself that quiet time amidst the hustle and bustle, and turning off the TV and all the advertisements, and heck, even turning off the social media, and just
Mm-hmm.
having that quiet time for yourself to get to know yourself and become one of your best friends, if not your best friend first, before going out into the public and eventually making yourself an enemy if you're not careful.
Exactly. 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 Yeah. Yeah. My oldest son was about 6 years old, and maybe less, maybe 5. He saw this advertisement on this commercial on TV, with these shoes, and in the commercial, the little boy jumped 5 feet up in the air wearing these shoes and made a basket with the basketball. And my son said, "Oh, Mama, can I have these shoes?" My son was not athletic at all, so this was his magic wand. He wanted that. If he only had these shoes, his problems, his troubles would be over, and all of the kids on the basketball court would be his friends. So I went. Sure. I said, okay. I knew this was going to be the life lesson. And I went to the store. It was $60 pair of shoes. And I said, I'm going to do it. It's going to be a big investment into something bigger than shoes. So he put them on. He was so happy. He put them on in a store. I paid. He went outside on the pavement and he jumped. And he said, oh, and he tried again. And again, he just jumped a half foot off the ground. And he said, Mama, we got to return them. They don't work. We got to get a new pair. This pair is not good. I said, no, my Dante, these pair, that's the shoes. He said, but in the commercial, they show a boy jumping 5 feet in the air. I said, because that's commercial. They want you to think that you can fly in these shoes, and so they want you to buy it, and so they're going to do it. And his eyes welled up with tears, and he said, why would they lie? Why would they lie to little kids like me?
Oh man.
I know. So, you know, so he learned, it was not an expensive lesson as what he learned, but in that moment he learned that you just have to be mindful of what is person's intention for you to want something, right? That's what you're saying. Get quiet, turn off the noise, so that you can have the presence of mind and intention and mindfulness to say, hey, is this person being louder than my voice, my inner voice? Do I want this because right now I feel like I need it in order to be accepted on that basketball court? As opposed to, no, I'm just never going to, you know, I don't want to be a basketball player really, because if I was, I'd be up at 6 o'clock in the morning practicing shooting baskets.
That's right. That's right. It's funny. That lesson can be so universal right now. It's like folks are paying attention to the commercial thinking it's going to be real life, but it's actually not.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see it everywhere. You know, we see it on, like I said, social media. You know, if I only do this and this and this, will my life look like this? Well, really? Is that what you want? I don't know. Do I want my house to be all white? And, you know, no books around and no spoons and bowls of ice cream? I don't know. I don't think so. Sure, it looks nice on the, you know, people's pictures, but I really don't want that.
Oh yeah, especially a white home with all the grass. Like it's gonna get dirty.
Yes, yeah. Who wants to clean that? Yeah.
Woohoo! Definitely right about that. Gotta have a nice dose of reality, and the sugar can be your music, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, coming down to the pike to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2020, with all of your mass knowledge, wisdom, and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, trust yourself more. Have confidence. Know that you are worthy. That you are whole. You are not broken. You know, one thing that I tell my kids, and what I would tell my 25-year-old self, is you have everything you need already. You have everything you need already. You know, you keep your mind open to grow, of course. You know, keep your mind open to for growth constantly. Be curious, but have confidence that you have everything you need. Because as a 25-year-old, it's really easy to think, oh, you know, yeah, to hear the messages of the older people, you know, well, you don't, what do you know? You know, you don't have my experience. You don't have my expertise. You don't, you know, you don't wait until you get to my age, or, you know, where of course you're not 40, you're 25, but you have everything you need at that, where you are in that place. Just trust yourself more. That's what I teach my kids. You know, and when the beautiful part of it is that when we do that, um, you know, some people will say when I talk about it, and when you know, people say, well, doesn't that produce arrogance? No, that's absolutely not. Because if you allow people to be who they are, they very much realize that also what they don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Pun intended, right there, right?
What you put?
But definitely agree with you though. Definitely agree with you though.
Yeah.
Definitely gotta trust yourself more often. Heck, even reminds me of, I forgot where I heard this from. It's where your parents sound smarter as you age.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Yes, yes. Yeah. I mentor at the prison, at the women's prison when I'm not on the road. And the one thing that I find is just so beautiful is that, a lot of these people that have made mistakes, tremendous mistakes, is partially because, they didn't know better. And nobody asked them. Nobody asked them, hey, what do you think? What do you need? You tell me. Everybody always comes to them and says, well, you do this. But nobody asks them, hey, what do you need? What do you think is the right thing? And if you ask them, if you give them that freedom, that respect, that love, that trust, then they're like, oh my gosh, you're asking me? Seriously? You want to know? Because everybody wants to be heard and seen. And everybody knows what they need.
Amen to that. Amen to that indeed. It's like that classic advice. Everybody has that sign around the neck that says, make me feel important.
Or just make me feel like I am. Not even important. Just like I am. Because our world, we're so easy to not even see people, to just pass by them, to belittle them, with our ignorance, with our not even noticing them. There was a homeless guy holding up a sign saying, don't give me money, just look at me.
It's true. Because some folks from a distance, they may see him ahead of time with the signs like, all right, let me not make eye contact. They'll ask for money.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. There we go. That's an inspirational message right there. Give the gift of acknowledgement.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Who knows? There may be a song in the future based around that message.
Yeah. 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 That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah. I have a song that I wrote. It's called Kissing Air. When I first came to America, I didn't really realize that, when people greet each other, hey, how you doing? They don't want to know how you doing. They just want you to say, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine. So I always tell this, how when I came to New York, and I studied at American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And one of the first weeks I was there, and my admissions coordinator was coming toward me, and she said, hey, Tatiana, how are you doing? And so I proceeded to tell her, I was insecure, I was a little afraid, homesick, but she was already in the elevator.
Oh, that's just horrible.
Yeah, I just didn't realize, right? So, what if we did stop and ask, hey, how you doing? And what if I did tell you, hey, this is how I am? You asked, I'm going to tell you. So I wrote this song that says, I'm not going to smile and say I'm fine. I'm going to tell you how I feel if you ask me. Yeah.
There we go, right there. Always stop and listen. Yep,
Yeah.
funny enough, I do actually do ask that question. Actually, do intend to get an answer.
Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, because that's the gift of acknowledgement. That's so little that we can all do. And most people are not going to sit there and, because I think people are afraid, well, I really don't want you know, to dump stuff on me. No, most people will just need 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And then just say something random, like tell them you're a tree once, and then they'll be like, "What?" And then you make a run for it. Let me stop! Don't do that.
Yeah. I get it. I hear it.
Oh man.
Yeah, there was this beautiful lady when I moved to the South, because I thought, okay, let me try this in the South. I heard stories, people sit on their porches and drink lemonades, and, here life is a little slower here. So the first day when I moved here, I went to the grocery store and I got my groceries up on the cashier belt, um, and she said, "Good morning, sweetheart. How are you doing?" And so I told her while she was ringing my groceries, and I told her everything. I moved. I was a little apprehensive. Didn't know how I was going to assimilate. Well, I was a little busy, afraid, whatever. And she listened, and then she came out around and gave me a big hug and said, "Bless your heart." And I went home so happy. And so the next day I went there and I looked for her and I got my groceries. I put it on her cashier bell thing. And she said, "Well, good morning." Without saying, "How are you?"
She's like, nope, I ain't doing this again.
Exactly.
We've been down this road once, we're not going down today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. You gave her all the raw fish that day, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Oh, well. Oh, well. She asked. I figured she's not going to go anywhere. She has to ring my groceries.
Yeah, you got a point.
Mm-hmm. And she learned too, so she outsmarted me. That's all right, though.
Oh man. Yes indeed. Yes indeed. Yeah, I like to say sometimes depending on what business you're in, customer service is somewhat like bartending.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, it's all good. It's all good. I don't think you walked out with liquor that day and you walked away with a smile instead.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it just really helped me. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It helped you so you can better help the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And we can all do that for each other. Yeah. When we that's my main website, wakinguprevolution.com, is like central theme is in all that I do is heal deeper, love more, and then uplift somebody else. So like, well, we talk today, take that quiet time and know what it needs, what it might be that might need healing. And it doesn't have to be something huge. Some of us do have some big things that we need to heal, but some of them is like, okay, what annoyed me today? That needs healing. It needs, maybe healing is too big of a word, but adjustment. How can I not be annoyed? When my husband was diagnosed with cancer, we went to his doctor's, and the doctor had this beautiful sign in his office that said, "Everyone you meet fights a battle you know nothing about.
Yeah.
Everyone you meet fights a battle you know nothing about." So think about that, and then heal that annoyance or heal that anger every day. Heal deeper, and then choose to love even when it's hard to choose to love. Because think that that person that you might not love or want to love also coming from are fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And just be kind. You're loving someone and being kind doesn't mean you allow them to trample over you or crush your boundaries, but you can still love them as we're asked to love. And then from that place, we daily have a chance to uplift someone, even if it's with a smile or pausing to listen how they are that day. It's really not that complicated. And that, to me, when we live like that every single day with that intention, That to me is definition of a successful life. No matter what kind of line of business you are, no matter what you do, it's if you do that every day, that's success.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The definition of success, the Tai Chi edition. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Where the indeed has 5 E's. Oh, yes.
Yeah, good.
Well, alrighty. I had fun on this interview. I had fun indeed. Hopefully, the listener with the headphones enjoyed it as much as I did. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You already listed your site, but one more time for the folks who want to keep in magical contact with you.
Right. So it's wakinguprevolution.com. Wakinguprevolution.com. I do have a book coming up soon that's called Unbroken. It's a beautiful little book that comes with the companion CD music. It's all about healing and how music helped me through a very difficult period. So yeah, and I do, I send out a newsletter, a blog each week with tips and inspirations for just to try to again help people to heal deeper and love more and then uplift somebody else. And then from that place you can do anything, because when we do that we create an environment around us that, one, allows us to reach for help and support we need, and two, we allow that support and help that we need to come to us. Because yes, there are many people who are in very difficult life situations, who might say, well, how do I pay my bills if I just do what you say, heal deeper, love more, uplift love? That's not going to pay my bills. Well, it's going to put you in a place where you will remove whatever the obstacles are, and you'll be able to get yourself into that quiet place to know, okay, where do I go look for help and support? Because I believe it is there. That you can then get yourself out of the life situation that's very, very difficult, whether it's dealing with addiction or a bad situation. There are places that you can get help.
We call that tantalizing. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, indeed. Woohoo! So a new book coming out soon with a companion CD, Unbroken, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Sweet. Is that like later in March, I'm assuming?
Yes. I don't have the exact date because I'm still working with a publisher in Europe. So, but yes, definitely first part of this year to 2020.
Oh, yes, indeed. There we go. All right. Well, the reading list of mine has just gotten bigger, as well as my music collection, because that's now going to be added to the list that keeps growing every day.
Well, thank you. I'm honored. Thank you. You have to let me know what you think.
Oh, yes, Amazon reviews, ahoy,
Mm-hmm.
among other
Awesome.
things.
Great. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all you do to provide these beautiful podcasts and with all the wonderful guests. I've listened to quite a few. It's really, really awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Didn't even have to bust out the full tree joke this time. That's good. How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode.